to record. Last time I totally forgot because sometimes you just get so excited to jump on in, and I love spending time with Jess. Jessica Bellofatto. It's Jess. I just call you Jess. So Jess is a good friend of mine that I met. I'm talking as if like you guys all know me and you don't know Jess. You all know Jess better than you know me, but we met by bam, like in a coffee shop in Mexico. It was like one divine encounter that lasted for an hour. We became friends on Facebook. And then like sometime last July, she shot me an introduction to join this group because you'd started drinking this incredible water that you shared with me. And what do you, everybody knows, I think that you are a yoga instructor and you run these amazing retreats that I'm like, she's where? Like 1 minute she's in like Costa Rica, then she's over here. Like, so tell us about your journey into Kangen and how it's kind of incorporated in your lifestyle of health and wellness.
Okay, my printer's going, so that'll stop in a second. But yeah, so I've been teaching yoga for almost 29 years. How loud is that printer? Sorry, you guys. For almost 29 years, and I've been teaching yoga retreats around the world, mostly in tropical locations because I love the tropics. So I know that in this intro, Louise was talking about the fact that not only are we going to talk a little bit about our Kangen water for athletes and yogis and just active people, but then also as we move into summertime and warmer weather, she kind of made a joke about how she's been on a few of my yoga retreats and how hot it is. So obviously all the more important to hydrate in that hot weather. But yeah, so I've been teaching yoga my entire adult life. And I started looking at this water about 5 years ago, but I just got my own machine a year ago. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary, April 1st, of ordering my own machine. And now that I'm seeing how, and I've been doing a little more research about how this water affects our bodies when we are active and how supportive it can be, it's really amazing.
So a timeout.
Yes.
Because you learned about this water 5 years ago, and you like, what were you doing for 4 years? Were you like just, why didn't you jump in 5 years ago? No, I mean, there's no guilt here. I just like, because we've got people in the group who are like, it's been maybe 3 weeks, 6 weeks, a year. Like you went for 4 years before you bought a machine. What was going on in your mind?
I think that I just didn't take the time to research it. I wasn't a part of a group like this where I could really learn about the water. And I was a little bit of the mindset that I think a lot of people are, that water is water. I wasn't super, as much as I'm been into healthy, holistic living and making sure that my food is organic and that the water was at least clean, filtered. We've had filters on our tap water for many, many years. I wasn't like taking it to that next level of like, what else can water actually do for us? I just hadn't taken the time to like dive in to that aspect of things yet. So it took me that long. And then when I started, I think Louise may have invited me into this water group or something. So then I started really looking at it and I was like, okay, I need this water in my life.
So, okay, so we got to also go there because you could probably be 25, but you've been teaching yoga for 29 years. So that's absolutely not possible. So how old are you, wonderful Jessica, if you don't mind us asking?
I turned 49 next month, May 29th.
Wow. And have you been aging backwards with this? Like, what have you noticed? Obviously, you use it, well, you're drinking it every single day. And yeah, you're probably recommending it to your yoga students as well. But did you notice like any difference when you started drinking, like your life as a yoga instructor for 28 years, and then you started drinking water? Like what's kind of impacted it since you've introduced the water?
Yeah, I think, even though I've worked my whole adult life to be healthy. I wasn't raised that way. So I had some sort of things that I was raised on really bad food and Coca-Cola, and I was overweight as a child. And so my sort of health journey and like my commitment to it has gone like up and down over the years. So as much as I was working with, movement practices and eating as good as possible, within reason, right? Because I was like, I used to love sugar and my ice cream and all those things. When I started drinking the water, first of all, I did notice the right off the bat, the taste was so different. For me, it's subtle. I don't want to say it's so, like, people do ask me like, what does it taste like? And I'm like, well, it tastes like water. But for me, it was like this sort of silky, clean, like soft texture. It was almost more of a textural thing where I could feel it. I felt like I could literally feel the hydration, like the absorption, like my cells absorbing the water. So that was sort of massive for me. And then the other thing is, like, I'm a busy person. I'm trying to be less busy, but I do have 3 kids and businesses to run and all of these things. And I would often go through the course of the day where I'd wake up feeling kind of great and energetic. And by like 2 or 3, I was like, I need a cup of coffee, or I need like a piece, half a bar of dark chocolate, or I needed something to sort of boost me. And I don't need that anymore. So I just realized that fairly recently. I was like, I don't like slump at 3 p.m. It was always like when I was driving to pick up my kids at school that I would be like, oh, I just like really want to take a nap. And I would like go and I would grab a cup of coffee at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. And I don't need it anymore. So that was huge. And then the other thing I've been noticing, which has led me to kind of research a little bit, is the when you are active, whether it's yoga and your flexibility, or working out or running or biking, or like just the recovery of the muscles, that I feel less fatigued, less sore after activity, like post activity. I'm not experiencing that kind of like I guess you could say that dehydration, or that sort of tear down of the muscles where they need to like build up again. I don't quite know how to explain it, but I'm noticing that.
Well, it's almost like your recovery rate is quicker, isn't it?
Is quicker.
Remember when we introduced Brad, or when we interviewed Brad, he said, yeah, like he could do things and his body would just recover way more quickly. I think it's something to do with lactic acid, but I could be completely wrong. I'm not the sciencey one in the group, everyone. Everyone knows that.
Or am I?
You got the 2 non-sciencey ones who just like love drinking water and met in a coffee shop.
Yeah, I did come across this PDF though that I'm happy to share in here. I don't think it's in our group yet, but they were testing the water on athletes who sort of identified themselves as crampers. We have what do you identify as they identify themselves as athletes who cramp often. And I actually used to do that. I would go out for a run and I would get like those muscle cramps fairly often, and that they reported after drinking Kangen water that they were no longer experiencing like cramping episodes, and also that they felt less bloated after drinking the proper amount of water. So how when you drink a lot of water, sometimes you feel like sloshing around in your belly, or you just get really bloated from it because it's not actually getting absorbed. So our water, because of the microclustering, allows for faster absorption, better absorption, and as a result, not cramping, not bloating, all of those things. So, yeah.
I had heard that when you drink the water, within 6 seconds, it actually goes to your brain. I
wow.
hope that's, yeah, I can't remember who I heard that from. It was probably somebody in this group, but okay. So, well, I've noticed, because I'm 53, I'm going to be 54 this year, but before I started drinking the water, and I was never really somebody that liked to drink water. I would drink water with essential oils in, because I knew I had to, but it's never been my drink of choice. And now I go to a restaurant and they'll be like, oh, can I get you some water? I'm like, no, I've got my own. I've got my own.
Exactly.
If you want to really don't ever take it in a container like this. Take it in a really big mason jar, and everybody will assume that it's moonshine, because at least they do in New Hampshire. And then you get to tell everybody, no, it's not moonshine, it's living water. Opens up the door. Like I was going into a restaurant and everyone was like, is that moonshine? Did you bring your own moonshine? And I was like, well, I don't even know what moonshine. I mean, I know people make moonshine, but so you got to do that. Like, don't drink it in this. And it's wonderful. But I have noticed that where I used to have, you know, little bits of, sometimes a little bit of aches and pains, not like really intense, but I don't have any of that now. It's just I just kind of keep going. If I go and I don't drink water, I notice a little bit of a difference there. It's like, ooh, yeah. So do you guzzle a whole lot before you start a workout? And I know you're also on the water a lot because you do paddle boarding. So how do you incorporate it actually during your workout, or do you just drink a lot before you start working out? What's your protocol?
Yeah, I try to, my morning routine is about 24 to 32 ounces upon awakening in my nice glass mason jar. And I love those because they have usually those, you know, they have the 24 ounces that you can see the measurement. So I'll drink that in the morning. And then I know I've gotten, you know, if we're supposed to drink half of our body weight in ounces per day, if I'm 125 pounds and I should be drinking 60 or so, and that's a minimum. A lot of people take that as like, okay, I need to drink 8-ounce glasses. That's kind of like a minimum level. But I do think, and I haven't sort of dove into this yet, but I wonder if that sort of base requirement is different because of our Kangen water. I actually would like to know a bit about that. But anyway, when I know I'm drinking about 24 to 32 ounces in the morning, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'm good to start the morning. And then I always bring water. If I'm paddling, I'm on the water for 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours a day in the summertime. So I bring my big bottles and I tuck them, you know, onto the board. I have carabiner clips, and I just make sure that I have lots of water, or I'll sometimes wear a backpack, a hydration pack, especially if I've done a lot of paddleboard racing, and I literally just will like have the straw in my mouth and I'll be paddling and I'll be sipping like basically the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love
we're kind of at the end of our time. It goes so quickly, always. And I'm like, I could ask you all these other questions. There was a question that was, so I actually just about your daily routine, because I know you asked you about going into yoga, but there is a great book that I have. It's hard. Let me just grab it. These are hard to find, but I got them on eBay using, what's her name? Dr. Peggy Parker. She's written a few books, or booklets, but she recommends between 50 and 70% of our body weight should be drunk in water. So minimum 50%, maximum 70%. And then Dr. Barry, or it's a great video I've posted in this group, I'm sure. I love sending that out to people, but he's like, if you're not feeling the benefits in the bathroom when you start drinking this, you're not drinking enough. But what else do you do to make sure that you're getting in that amount of water per day? Like, what's the rest of your routine look like? And then we will end, because we're probably going to be at 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I just make sure that like if I'm home, if I'm working from home for the day, or if I'm, you know, especially, and obviously if it's when we move into the hotter weather, if you live in a tropical environment, if you're sweating more, I always just make sure I always have water with me. I never leave home without a bottle of water. I never, ever, ever want to have to buy like a crappy, you know, Evian or Dasani, or God forbid, like I don't even know what is in those waters. And so I just make sure I have it. So if I'm driving in my car, it's like literally right there, and I'm just sipping my water. So, and I do keep track of the intake because it's important to me. And I think for just our skin and our cells and our muscles and our, you know, all of that stuff, it's like, it's one of the easiest things we can do if we remind ourselves to do it and just make a habit about doing it. And then when you know, like with our Kangen water, when you know how good the water is, it's like for so many people, it's the missing piece of the health puzzle. Like Louise's story about being chronically dehydrated, like it's for so many people, we're doing all the things we think we're supposed to be doing, and we still don't feel as vitally healthy as we can and should. as, you know, that this body is our temple in so many ways. And then, so I just really, I track it. I make sure I track it.
So you're intentional. Well, I did see somebody and they said they put like, say, 6 elastic bands on them or maybe bracelets. And then
Oh, that's a good
every
idea.
time they drink one, they take one off and put it on the other hand. I have a reminder on my phone that goes off, like says drink a cup of water. So every day, every hour it goes off. But I have to admit, like, if I don't have the water with me, and I'm not drinking a cup right now, I'm just kind of drinking. So Jess, thank you so much for joining us today. You are amazing as always. You inspire us all. Definitely want to come on one of your retreats one day. I think that's a whole nother thing. Like, and so we just want to say thank you to everybody in the Kangen Water Collective. We are literally here to serve you. If you have questions about the water, this is a really great place to ask. We have so many different experts in this group, people from different walks of life, people with different testimonies. So tune in, ask those questions. We're here to serve you. And we really want you to start receiving the benefits of this living water, because it really will change your life as it has for Jess and I. And so Jess, have an amazing weekend. Keep glowing, keep drinking.
You too.
I'll see you
Thank
soon.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Stop the recording.